If ever your life could be a true crime podcast episode, then this podcast is for you. We're about to embark on a roller coaster of emotions, insights, survival, and stories about escape. So buckle up and let the journey begin.
There we go.
Are we going now?
Big red button.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's sunny. It's warm. It's not 50-mile-an-hour winds, so I'm loving it.
I mean, life is looking a little bit better on the outside.
Desert pear, lemonade spritzer a la homebrew. Any of those of you in Rapid City area, please go check it out. These things are
They're so
absolutely delicious. And I'm not a lemonade person.
Mm-hmm.
But these,
it's a tart kind of, it's yummy. They're yummy.
Just this flavor, too. I'm just like,
I'm Julie, here with Charity. And we are in the Escape Pod. Welcome in. We are here on the Homebrew campus. And so the Homebrew campus.
blooper reel.
The One Heart campus, where Homebrew is also the coffee shop on our
We've
campus.
never really talked about homebrew.
We haven't.
You hear the commercials.
Hear the commercials sometimes.
But homebrew was started to be a social enterprise.
Yeah.
So we created it for three reasons. One, because it's a secure campus, we wanted one place where the public could come and kind of nose around and learn about what we do and feel a connection to the work we do. Mm-hmm. And we have actually gained supporters through Coffee Shop First. They didn't know anything about One Heart. They learn about it and they're like, this is really cool. So that's awesome. And then two, to be hopefully one day generate revenue for One Heart. And it is looking like Alyssa has just had her record-breaking month.
Yeah.
She seems to be on track to break it again this month.
Yeah.
And we really do think we're going to break even this year for the first time since we've opened. This is our fourth year in operation. So,
and when we say it's not, we're not breaking even, it's not like it's costing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just it wasn't earning profits that then we're going back into the campus.
Yeah,
we've done, even last year was a good year. But if you were it was a startup within a startup.
It doesn't cover its own costs yet.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's getting close.
It is getting closer. They were sweating today when I went in to get my lemonade, just like Alyssa's so excited.
Yeah.
And then the third reason to be a true social enterprise is to allow a space for some of our harder to employ people. And that could be they just don't have a lot of work experience. It could be they have felony records where a lot of employers don't want to give them a chance. The social enterprise allows them to work and build their resume and gain some valuable experience. And it's great because it's right on the campus where they live and where they're working to transform their lives. And so it's a pretty unique program.
Well, and the hospitality industry in Rapid City and the Black Hills is huge. And so any, customer service experience a person can get, even if they're not always serving customers, is actually pretty valuable. That's what I discovered way back in the day in my Hostess with the Mostest days. Okay, what are you escaping from this week?
Oh, it's gonna write it down. Okay. What am I escaping from? I am escaping from, did we talk about pollen already?
Yes, a little bit last week. Okay. It's still bad. Yeah.
Still wicked, wicked, wicked pollen. I think I'm escaping today, and we may do a story on it at some point, but child predators. That has recently, my children are okay, but has recently
reared its head,
touched my life in a way. And it's brutal. And watching people that I care about go through realizing that their child has been groomed.
Oh no.
It's just absolutely heartbreaking. And so we had that conversation about when you look at like a sex offender registry map of neighborhoods and you realize there are people all around.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really have nightmares looking at these things. And when you think about this happening through the internet, if there were the capability of mapping out where all of because you don't know, there's all these people that don't get caught versus the people that do, I bet it's way more prevalent than would allow us to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And I just am so grateful that my kids are adults. I can't imagine raising kids now with the access that they have to things that should enhance our quality of life and our access to information, and has been perverted and used to prey upon innocent people. And when you look at the trauma levels of just even if you just look in our country and how there's all these people that are hurting other people at record speeds.
Right.
And so it's just really devastating.
Yeah.
It's really devastating.
And you think at least in our country, you know that there are people actively pursuing and working to prosecute those individuals who are capable of such things. In other places, I don't know if they have the people or the resources to go after the crazy number of people doing this kind of crime. So that's
I don't know if there are enough detectives in the country, in the world to be able to pursue. I mean, they have to be egregiously outnumbered, quite honestly. It's just really, and here's the thing. People have their things and they have their kinks, and I get it. But you know what? There are other people out there that would probably buddy up with you to whatever. Like, why do you have to go and ruin a child?
Right.
Why? There are people that will help you do whatever. And I mean, agree with it, disagree with it. I don't care. I'm not here to argue that. Mm-hmm. But go find somebody like that, please. They are out there. Anyway, so that's my soapbox for the day.
Well, it's a worthy soapbox to be on. I am just escaping grief for, I think, the
500th time this year.
I mean, it has been, seriously, I was thinking back really to March of last year. So we're about 15 months in, where I think every other month we've lost somebody.
Yeah, we have.
And I literally went to 2 funerals in one day this year. Mm-hmm. So at least in that case, they were both, and they actually had a remarkable amount in common, those 2 ladies. But at least they had lived full, long lives, and there's just several who have not lived very long lives. So I told Charity, pick a funny topic today, and she said she didn't really have a funny one.
I don't have a funny one, but what I will tell you is I'll get through the sad one first.
Okay.
I have a wild story on this topic.
Okay.
Don't judge me, but the end one is pretty funny.
Okay.
So I promise I will lighten the mood after the.
Okay. And then I will tell you why rouge is so funny. So when I was typing in notes today, I started typing rouge instead of road rage, and I chuckled at myself. Just hold on. It was kind of embarrassing, but I really didn't know that I was saying it wrong until I said it. Anyway, TV days. Tell us the stories.
Oh, you can't leave me hanging like that.
Oh, no, I'm going to make you wait till the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Well. Well, here we go. Okay. So we're going to be escaping road rage today. I'm going to give you some stats, and then we're going to do 3 stories. Again, one is a bit of a tearjerker. I won't show you pictures because then that might really
oh my gosh,
so I'll keep those to myself.
Thank you.
One is my own personal. And I had forgotten about it. We were hiking or walking or something one day, and my husband said something about that. I'm like, oh, I did that. That'd be a really good topic for that. So, and then the last one is pretty funny, like I said earlier. So, ready to dive in?
Let's get the bad one out of the way.
Okay. Well, let's set it up
first,
just to kind of see how prevalent this is. So in 2023, 92% of people witnessed an act of road rage. People surveyed witnessed an act of road rage just in that past year.
I can believe that.
I can believe it, too.
Seems accurate.
My daughter, when she was living in the Twin Cities, had a dash cam. And I remember her calling us and going, should I be filming this? Like, could this be useful for the cops? And there were videos that she had
shared,
submitted to law enforcement because it was just out of control.
Wow.
A total of 12,610 injuries and 218 murders have been attributed to road rage over a 7-year period in the United States. This is just the United States.
Let's just leave it at flipping somebody off and call it a day.
Yeah. I mean, that's the worst insult you can, right?
Right?
Right.
Let's do that.
I still don't know the power in the middle finger. I don't understand it. Is it like Harry
For
Potter?
some
Like
people.
like it's magical? I don't know. But man, people flip out. Maybe that's what they mean by flip the bird. You flip somebody off and they just like their mind flips and they lose it.
There you go.
That's pretty funny. In 2022, I clicked again. Damn it. Kick me under the table when I do this. Okay. In 2022, someone was shot and killed in a road rage incident every 16 hours.
That's nuts.
66% of traffic fatalities are caused by aggressive driving. 50% of drivers respond to careless acts of other drivers with aggressive behavior themselves, because we all know adding fire to fire puts the fire out, right?
Right.
Is that how that works?
Yes.
Oh, wait, that's not how that works. 37% of aggressive driving incidents involve a firearm.
Ooh.
One of the
Scary.
stories I'm going to tell you today involves a firearm.
Right.
And 500% increase. There's been a 500% increase in reported cases of road rage over the last 10 years.
That's crazy.
And does that have anything to do with the lack of mental health resources? And we're going to hit a tipping point. I'm sure we're not the only country, but these are really frightening numbers. So this first case, I was going to say a gentleman, but not so much. A man, human man by the name of David Desper. And this is a case of just how bad and quick
Somebody
road
can
rage,
turn.
just like that. So this is June of 2017 in Pennsylvania. 18-year-old Bianca Roberson and 28-year-old David Desper were among a mass of vehicles on Route 100 in Chester County. They were driving near each other, jockeying for position as you do. And I couldn't find if there were any witnesses to claim that there were like speeding or if there were other traffic violations were part of this scenario. But I mean, we've all been there trying to get to a space in the traffic where we're comfortable and we're keeping up with traffic and we just feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Desper clearly had some other issues going on because this simple everyday jockeying sent him into a rage. He pulled out a gun he had in the vehicle and he shot young Bianca in the head as she was driving and just kept right on going. She was killed instantly. Her car swerved off the highway and into the nearby woods. And when they were first notified of their daughter's death, her parents first thought she just died in a tragic car accident. It was days later, I believe, that they learned it had been a senseless bullet shot by a senseless man. So this guy flees to a friend's house in another state to hide out, Delaware. He hides out for several days before turning him in. And I saw many references in this case where they made a big deal out of like his character. So while he was camping out at the friend's house, he played mini golf. He ate pancakes while he was on the lam. And they're like, in fact, the assistant district attorney, Chris Miller, says, what kind of man shoots a little girl and then eats pancakes?
Yeah.
So that didn't make him look good. I was able to infer through some of the sources I found on this case that perhaps Desper's defense was that he in some way feared for his life on the highway that day due to aggressive driving and decided to neutralize what he perceived as a threat. I think they tried that tact, but the judge wouldn't have it. She actually cried while delivering her own statement. I don't believe you were afraid, she said to Desper. I believe it was anger.
Yeah.
Bianca's parents, Rodney and Michelle Roberson, were given the opportunity to make victim impact statements, had everyone in tears in the court. I will read you one little piece of it. The defendant hung his head and cried while they spoke. So he did seem to feel remorse.
Later, because now he's in trouble.
Right. I'm so sorry, he said. I would do anything to take it back. He attempted to apologize to Bianca's parents, but they wouldn't hear it. And I do not blame them one bit. So her father got up and he talked about how he's a tough guy. He was in the Marines and he did all these things. But when it came to Bianca, he was kind of she's definitely a daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on to say, let me tell you about my little girl. Bianca was a child who was always happy, and she brought that joy to everyone around her. And just as a sidebar, when you look at her picture, you can just see it.
Yeah.
Just see it in her face. With adults, she was shy and respectful. With her friends, she was kind, gentle, and funny. To me, she was the smartest And most beautiful young woman in the world. When you are a father, you laugh at your sons, but you worry about your daughters. Who will be there to protect them when you're not around? Mm-hmm. Will they always be safe? What can you do to make sure they don't get hurt? Nothing hurts a dad more than his daughter's tears. And then he tells this really adorable story about she got her first job at McDonald's and he would go hang out there just to see her work because he was so proud that she had this job. So he said, my wife and I decided to raise Bianca in Chester County because it was safe. We didn't want to risk the violence of West Philadelphia. We wanted her to grow up around nice people in a nice place. We wanted everything for her. I wanted her to go to college, something I never got to do. She was going to Jacksonville University on a scholarship, ready to study crime scene forensics.
Wow.
Ironically. I wanted her to graduate and get a good job, work in an office, get paid good money without breaking her back working on the docks. I wanted her to fall in love, get married, have kids.
Yeah.
She always told me she was going to have 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. I wanted to live long enough to spoil my grandchildren.
Oh.
I can't read the next part because I won't be able to get myself back together. But then he says to the defendant, my questions for the defendant are simple. Why in God's name did you shoot my daughter? Because she was young? Because she was black? Because she was a girl? Because you wanted to go first on the road?
Right.
Because you had a bad day.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, that guy was sentenced to prison. I don't remember how many years, but
oh my gosh.
Yeah, just heartbreaking. And that's the thing too, when you're like in traffic, you always see that one jackass that flies up and has to get first and like cuts out and, changes lanes constantly. You get to the light and you're right next to him. It didn't buy them any time. I always wave. I'm just like, cool.
My husband and I say that all the time, like, oh, look at him go, just so we can be stopped at the same stoplight, especially in Rapid City. That is one downside to this place, minus the downtown area, which if you're going the speed limit, you get the green lights the whole way.
Yeah, people don't realize that. That's the sweet
for like
spot.
4 blocks.
Do the speed limit and you can hit it. Yeah.
It doesn't last very long. When you get in those longer sections, it's so frustrating. Having said that, though, I'm not going to harm somebody else over doing something, racing around me or whatever. What a jerk. Oh,
terrible, 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 man.
Terrible. One of my admitted you could probably consider it road rage incidents was also one of my first true mama bear incidents when my oldest son was very little, still an infant, definitely in an infant car seat in the back seat. And the interstate cuts through the north side of our little city here. And so part of our commute that day, and my husband was with me, and I think he was like, Julie, watch it.
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, I had this beautiful baby boy in my back seat, and there was a guy who was tailgating me so badly, and it was like a Saturday afternoon, so there was a decent amount of traffic, and I kept looking like, if I have to stop, like he's not going to be able to stop. And we happened to exit on the same exit. So now we're in the city headed toward.
And he's still behind you?
And he's still behind me. And then he cuts around real fast because, of course, he's the one in the big hurry, right? And I rolled down my window and I was like, because I think his windows were already rolled down because it was summertime. It was a nice day. And I was like, if I would have had to stop, you would have killed my kid. And he blew me kisses.
Oh, what a prick.
And waved at me. Oh.
Special place in hell.
People very often. I don't even know if I did to him because he was gone in a flash. Like he was on his way somewhere. But that was like my moment of, it's one thing if I'm in a wreck. If you hurt my kid, it's a whole new ball game. Yeah. And Jeremy's like, Julie, let it go. Let it go.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because my road rage story also involves Mama
Your kid.
Bear. and brand spanking new. I don't even think she was 4 weeks old yet.
Right?
In the car.
It changes you.
So we were coming back from Rochester, Minnesota, where my parents-in-law lived, back to the Twin Cities where we lived. Highway 52 at night. And it's a 2-lane highway. 4-lane highway, so to both directions. And there's so many commuters all the time between Rochester and the Twin Cities. Yeah. So there was just a lot of traffic, and this was Christmas time, and so just a ton of people. You couldn't get around anyone, even if you had to. You would have had to go on the shoulder or do something stupid. So we're heading back to the cities, and this guy got my dog in the car, and we have baby also in an infancy. She's, like I said, 4 weeks old, and he is tailgating us so badly. And so Tim was driving, and he'd brake check him a little bit, just like, come on, dude, back off a little bit, bit. And I started getting so worked up because it was that same thing. And he's brighting us and he's doing and there was no place for us to go. Even if we'd wanted to let him get around us, we couldn't go anywhere. Yeah. There was no place to go. And so this escalates because he's escalating, and this gets to the point where I am, because he's got his bright light shining in our car, I am screaming at him and hoping he can see me through the window. He still doesn't back off. So I escalate again, and now it gets to the point where I'm hanging out of my passenger side window, screaming at him to pull the fuck over, which he finally does.
Oh, my gosh.
So this son of a bitch pulls over. Tim pulls over. I jump out of the car. I'm going to kill this guy. I'm going to kill him. And so
she's not really going to kill him. She was going to yell at him enough that he wished he were dead.
Just wait. I did not murder anybody that day, but I could have been murdered. So he gets out of the car and he comes up to me and he flips his thing around. He's got a gun in his waistband.
Right.
And I said, "You think that fucking scares me? Let me show you what scares me." And I pulled him by the arm over to the car and I made him look at my baby.
Oh.
And he puts his hands up like this, like in a peace gesture. He goes, "I'm sorry." I said, "Where did you think we could go? Look at this traffic."
I know, right?
And meanwhile, I don't know this because I don't know where my husband is. When I jumped out of the car, my dog got out of the car.
Oh, shoot.
And so she's playing Frogger on the freaking highway with all these cars, and my husband is trying to save my dog's life, and I'm dealing with the guy with a firearm. And he was probably a drug runner or something, but I'm just like, think about it. Think about it. You're not going to get there any faster. Right. And I did not back down. The gun did not scare me a bit, but after all the adrenaline left, I was like, yeah. Tim's like, "You're crazy." I might be.
He knew that. Sometimes I think he forgets, though.
But it was terrifying.
Yeah.
After the fact.
Well, it's when you mention, the number of cases involving firearms, road rage and firearms. I remember years ago when I was doing the news, and somebody I worked with had a family member whose home was broken into when they were home. And it was a case of, which the thought of that terrifies me. That's my I'm a door locker, window locker, all the things. Well, it was a nice day and nice evening. And so I think they didn't have their door open, but there was a window of some kind that basically if maneuvered the right way, they had the ability to either get in through a window or be able to open, reach around and open a door. It was in an older house. So things that we have now to prevent some of this maybe didn't exist. Anyway, they were juveniles, and I'm talking 11, 12, right in there. And they didn't take a ton of stuff, but the people were home and sleeping. And kind of realized, I don't know if they heard somebody leave, they left out the door and it woke them. I don't really remember the details, but what I do remember is that my coworker talked to the police about it afterwards because, of course, they were terrified and they were doing all this stuff to make sure it couldn't happen again. But my coworker, whose relative was the victim in this case, talked to the police and said, what were they thinking, kind of thing. And apparently, because the officer had said, what if the person would have had a handgun and woken up while you're taking something? They took an iPad from a dresser in the bedroom.
Bold.
They were bold. And so the officer questioned these kids, what? oh, like nothing would, like they weren't going to hurt us or something. Like nobody was going to hurt us. And the officer, I thought, in South Dakota, you're taking the risk that the person doesn't wake up,
get shot,
and react before they even realize, like, you're 11 years old or 12 years old, like, and that you're taking something that can be replaced, essentially. I mean, but that's what I do think about that. I think, like, when you see people get fired up and you don't know why and you don't know where the anger comes from, you also don't know what else they have with them.
Exactly.
And that is pretty terrifying. So, that's an interesting story. What's our third story?
So this I found on a forum.
You said this one was funny.
This one's pretty funny. Okay. So her name, she wrote it in. I ended up paraphrasing everything instead of just reading her post.
Sure.
Just to tell it in more story form.
Yeah.
So her name was Joan Hollander. And so she's attempting to make a left-hand turn. She pulls into the left turn lane, waits for the arrow to turn green, and in front of her was a truck with 2 male occupants. Light turns green. They don't move, so she honks at them.
Okay, I've done that before.
Yeah, but I'll give like a little courtesy beep, not like lay on the horn.
Right.
I don't know which she did, but either way, they didn't react. So she ups her game just like I did with the probable drug runner. And she begins yelling at them and gesturing for them to get going. They don't. They begin yelling back. The driver gets out of the truck, walks to her car. Now she's sweating it. She's scared now.
Okay.
He comes up to her side of the car super close. He pulls down his pants and he moons her. Then he pulls his pants back up, simply walks back to his truck, but he still wouldn't move for a while. Don't know if he couldn't. Don't know if something was wrong with the truck.
Oh.
But he just, no other communication other than, here's my butt. Take a look at this lady. And it shut her up. No one honked this time as they waited. And then they were piling up. Eventually, he decided he'd make the turn and began driving very slowly. And again, I don't know if it was mechanical issues or if he was just being a butthead. No pun intended. But I came across that one. I thought that one
is pretty good. I do remember getting flipped off once because I actually waited to do the courtesy honk. It was a right turn in a case where you got a right arrow because it was like a 3-way intersection. Yeah. So it was keeping traffic moving under certain circumstances. Anyway, and they were looking, when you're stopped and you can do right on red, usually you have to look and make sure nobody's coming. Well, that's what they were doing, but they had the green arrow. So I gave it a couple beats. I didn't and same thing, I didn't lay on my horn. I just eventually was like, hey, you can go. And they flipped me off. That was years ago and I still remember it. And I was like, you're the one sitting there 3 minutes longer than you need to. It probably wasn't 3 minutes, but it probably was like 20 seconds longer than they needed to because they just weren't looking the right direction. I wasn't mad. I just wanted them to know they could go.
Yeah, like if they're zoning out. I mean, I've done that, sat on a light and just kind of like get lost in my thoughts or whatever. And I don't mind. So, sorry, let's go. I don't. Yeah, flip somebody off. That's kind of silly. I had
pregnancy brain once and ran a red light. Thank God it was late at night. Nobody was coming, but I blew right through that thing. And I got past it and was like, oh, what did I just do?
If you want to hear.
Like I don't
know where this memory came from. Okay, so do you know where I live?
Kind of. I know the neighborhood.
Down in that neighborhood. Okay. So you know how 5th Street turns. Okay. Before it hits Catron Boulevard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the speed limit used to be a lot higher over there than it is now.
Okay.
It's 35 miles per hour now. It used to be 45. And so you get clipping along pretty good. I was speeding this day, and here comes a cop, hot on my tail. And I'm still in that stage where I'm still not 100% comfortable with cops. Being married to one and he went into this career was a big adjustment for me. And it still took me a while. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to get me. I'm in trouble. But Tim was home. So I'm thinking he'll get me out of it. Right. So I fly home. I get around the corner. I pull into the garage. I'm like, and he's still on my tail, but I'm not pulling over. I'm just like, I'm going to get to safety first. And then I get home. I get in the house and there are cop cars all over my property, like blocking my driveway. And I'm like, what the hell, Tim? I think I'm in trouble. And he starts looking around and he's like, I don't think this is you for once. And so we look out the kitchen window and there's like a sniper at another neighbor's house. And I'm like, what is going on? So he does his cop thing and figures out this was the...
There was a standoff.
No, this was... I don't want to say names because, I mean, one of these ladies is still my neighbor. But there was a number of years ago, a girl who stabbed her father. So parents don't live together. Parents were divorced. Stabbed her father on the west side of town and then came over and shot her mom. Her mom is my neighbor.
Oh, my goodness.
And so they expected her to be there. It didn't happen. It didn't transpire, but that's what they were waiting for to get her. And mom gets shot in the stomach, I believe, and ends up driving herself to the emergency room. But that's why they were flying in hot. It wasn't because I was speeding. They weren't even clocking me probably. But I was so terrified because they're coming right after me, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of cars. I'm like, I've really shit the bed this time. I don't know what's happening. So
I am careful, much more careful now about how fast I drive than I was in some of my like 20-somethings. But in all honesty, the times I've actually gotten pulled over, which I think I've only gotten one ticket, but I've gotten a couple warnings when it was a doozy of a ticket too. It was over $100, and I was horrified that I had to like go home and say like, I got pulled over and it's bad.
How old were you?
Oh, I was an adult when that happened. I was married. Oh, yeah. And I was just like, but here's the thing. Every time I've actually gotten pulled over, whether I got a ticket or a warning or nothing, those were always the times I was speeding accidentally. Like I was in a place I didn't know what the speed limit was. It was never the time I was like in a hurry and trying to get somewhere, and never. It was the times when like either I wasn't paying it. I just was like in la la land and there wasn't a lot of traffic. So there wasn't an obvious like, oh, I'm going really fast, or, oh, you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
It's always the ones that like, yeah, it wasn't intentional whatsoever. And those are the ones when I got pulled over. FYI, if you get pulled over in like a national park area, those are really expensive tickets.
Are they?
Just so you know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was one.
I've had, I think, 3 speeding tickets. One, I totally deserved. One, I don't really think I deserved. And the other one was my sister's fault. So the first one, I had borrowed my mom's car one day. I'm in high school. I'm probably a junior, maybe a senior. I'm not entirely sure. So we've talked about shithead boyfriend before.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So his current girlfriend at the time, this is what set me off. I'm probably at the park getting high with my friend and having a great day out in the sun, just vibing. And then here she comes without him in his car, and he would never let me drive his freaking cars. Oh. So she got favorable treatment, and it made me mad. And she's, doing all this stuff. And I had a temper like that back then, high or not. And so I ended up like going after her. And this was in Canyon Lake Park. There's speed bumps.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but I'm flying through there. He didn't clock me. What I got a ticket for was speed beyond a reasonable doubt.
Oh.
Like, I don't even have to clock you. I just looked at you and knew that you were speeding. And I'm like, all right. So I deserved that one. And she got away. I was going to probably beat her up. So she got away. Second one, I was in college. This was in the Twin Cities. Coming back for something, I had to take care of something in between classes, and it was quite a drive. And they were just doing a sting.
Okay.
And I'm just keeping up with traffic, but I'm the only one that got pulled over. So that one's the one I think, guys, just
like you could have gotten anybody in this circumstance. Yeah.
And then that was actually my last one. My second one, my truly second one, it might have been in between high school and college. I took a year because I had no aim in life. I didn't know I was going to end up going to college. And my sister had stolen all of my tip jar money, which was my car payment.
Mm-hmm.
So she did this crap all the time. She would break into the house, steal things. My parents used to have like padlocks on drawers and stuff because she'd break in, steal jewelry, go pawn it, and do, I don't know, who knows what she did with it. But ironically, she steals my tip jar money, for which she's never paid me back. And she steals it to go to, are you ready? A church camp. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So she runs away to a church camp, forges permission or whatever she did. They believe she had parental permission to go on this.
Sure.
And this church camp was in Wyoming somewhere. So my mom and I get in the car. We go find her, bring her butt home. And we're between Sturgis and Rapid on I-90. I'm driving. It's really late at night. This was quite the ordeal. She had spent all my money by the time she got to the church camp, and we followed because everywhere we stopped, hey, have you seen this girl? Have you seen this girl? Oh, yeah, she came in here. She was buying sodas and candy and stuff for all her friends. I'm like, with my freaking car payment.
A lot of tip money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And she's always like that. My sister will give you the shirt off her back. Like, she's always like that, but with stolen money.
Oh,
so this is how she was back in that day. So yeah, I'm doing my mom a solid, letting her rest now that we've got my sister safe and we're heading back home. And we didn't know it was a church. I mean, we didn't know what we were heading into, and we really had to go find this place. Getting lost. This was before GPS and all this stuff. And I got pulled over by highway patrol and got a ticket. Then I'm like, not only did she steal my freaking car money, I got a freaking ticket on top of it. Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
It did suck.
The church camp, though, that's a fun twist to that story. Okay.
Seriously.
We'll take a break. We'll come right back. We'll do escapism co-host style, and I'll tell my story about Rouge. Just the rouge
like
part.
Moulin Rouge.
Rouge. We'll be right back.
Break into song.
Need an early morning boost or midday pick-me-up? Check out the Homebrew Coffee Shop, a coffee shop with a cause in the heart of the One Heart campus. Homebrew is home to delicious coffee, sweet treats, breakfast, and lunch items, a great place to meet friends or host small group meetings. Homebrew, located at 201 Kansas City Street in Rapid City. Open Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Homebrew, where you'll find hope for a home in every cup.
Okay, Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge. No, as I was typing today and I was trying to write road rage and I wrote road rouge to start, I had a Ron Burgundy moment. It wasn't really my fault. But if you remember from the movie, and Charity says she hasn't really seen the movie because it's maybe not her jam. I was going to say maybe a little beneath her, which is fine. But Ron? When he said, he says like, I'm Ron Burgundy. And then he says Burgundy because somebody says, who put a question mark in the teleprompter? Okay.
I do remember that actually. Okay.
So you know what I'm talking about. So there was once, and it was fortunately the very end of the late show. So we used to do an hour-long newscast, 9 o'clock, 9 to 10. And the last segment was always like an entertainment something. It was always something funny, lighthearted, whatever. It's part of the reason we do our little, like, what are we escaping to? Because I got to end on a happy note. Yeah. It's my pattern. So in this case, there was a new Star Wars movie coming out, and it was Rogue One was the name of the movie.
Uh-oh.
And the producer who knew, he knew what it was, and he was very smart. He actually did know the difference between rogue and rouge, but rouge is a word. And so spell check didn't catch it. And I read through everything ahead of time, except it was this little 15-second teaser, we'd call it. And so I very confidently said, a preview of Rouge One coming up, and then we got into the break and I was like, what is Rouge One?
Right?
Because I did not know what the movie's name was at that point. I do know a lot about Star Wars, but I wasn't up on it the way I am now that I have two little kids who love Star Wars. But anyway, and so we got into the break and the producer immediately was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I just kind of sounded maybe a little bit like an idiot. I didn't know the difference between Rogue and Rouge, but it didn't underlined it as being a wrong word, right?
Right.
So this is how you have to know how to spell.
Rage and rouge or rage and rogue.
Yeah, it didn't tell me it was wrong.
Right.
There you go.
Those are the kind of typos
English.
I am notorious for.
Yes.
Things that spell check is not
going
to catch.
No.
Do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, you don't do it all the time because I read a lot of this stuff.
But I've read it multiple times before I send it to you because I know the things I do. Like one of my biggest ones is result. I always write reslut. And it just, my brain, I'm like, there it is again. That one does get caught though. Form and from, those happen all the time. Like, just things are,
Yeah, I feel that. And sometimes what was I going to say about that? Oh, well, neither here nor there. Yeah. All right, what are you escaping to? What is something we know what we want to escape from? Where would you like to go
or I'm going to finish this desert pear lemonade spritzer a la homebrew. It's a little cheap plug there. No, this afternoon, it's kind of been the week of reconnecting with some friends now that the weather's nice. I got to have some time with one of my girlfriends yesterday. I haven't seen for since November. And then tonight there's a group of them. One of them just got a new job. Ooh. And we're going to go celebrate her new chapter. And it'll just be nice to go sit on out the patio and, reconnect. So
should be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I think I am just escaping hopefully later to I've started reading again. I went a couple of months without having a book that I was into or whatever. And so I finally, I don't really have time, but I've just made some time a few minutes before I go to bed. It actually relaxes me enough usually it helps me fall asleep. It's only the last one I read was a so-so book. So it would help me fall asleep because it wasn't a page turner. Yeah. Unfortunately. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. So in some cases, it'll keep me up. But most of the time, I'll just relax enough that it actually
that's
helps
the
me
thing
sleep
for
better.
Me too is I love to read, but I am so mentally...
you're into it.
I'm so overstimulated at work because I have so much to do.
Yeah.
That now if I open a book, that's the effect it has on me. Is unless I'm just relaxing and I'm out on the deck or whatever, I'll still get sleepy. But now it's instant. It's like Benadryl or whatever. I've never taken Ambien, but it knocks me out.
Yeah.
So my page turner of late, I'll give a shout out to Counterclock.
Okay.
Fantastic podcast. And I just cannot stop listening. I'll even hey, Tim, just I want to go listen to this some more. And I'm absolutely hooked. So it's very, very good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think you'd like it being a journalist.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'll need to add it to my list. Yeah. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really does help us, and it helps our exposure to other people who are also looking for similar types of podcasts. You can check out our website at escapepod.live, follow us on our socials, reach out at justbecause at escapepod.live, or share your story of escape at escapeartist at escapepod.live, which I just realized you escaped your own little road rage incident.
I did. I didn't get shot, and my family and my dog didn't get smashed by a car, and
everybody ended up okay.
We ended up okay.
And you scared the crap out of that guy.
I hope so.
Gun. I'm certain you did.
And he was kind of runty. He wasn't a big strapping guy. He's kind of a, really slim build, not super tall.
Okay.
But I'm just we'll take you down. So
he knew it.
Yeah. So please consider leaving us a 5-star review. I guess I'm learning now in the podcast world that'll really help people find us. So yeah,
please do.
That'd be awesome. That'd be something to celebrate. I might even get Julie to dance down the hall again.
Oh, I mean, for sure. With a 5-star review, there would be dancing.
Well, I tell you what, first 5-star review that comes in, I'm going to video Julie and then we'll put it on our socials.
All right.
Okay.
Getting out the sprinkler, the Roger Rabbit, the what are some of the other good ones?
I don't know, but one day you were really into it. Oh my gosh.
On that note, we are closing the hatch on this episode of the Escape Pod. Remember, trauma may be inevitable. How you grapple with it is optional.
So stay resilient
and keep laughing.
Thanks, everybody.